Hello, my name is Matt Kixmoeller. I'm the VP of Products here at Pure Storage, and welcome to part 2 of our video series, The Ultimate Storage for VDI, in which we go through sharing with you some of our reference configurations around VDI and why we believe that all-flash storage is really the right choice for running your VDI environment. I'm joined here today by Ravi Venkat, our virtualization solution architect here at Pure Storage. So for part 2 here today, we're going to go into a little bit of the details on the space consumption of the FlashArray and our reference architectures for how to deploy the FlashArray in various different size configurations. Now, one of the things we talked about earlier in the video series in part 1 was just the basics of the FlashArray and how one of the key features was data reduction, inline data reduction in the form of deduplication and compression. Now, on traditional workloads, whether they be virtual server, databases, etc., we tend to advertise to folks about a 4-to-1, 5-to-1 data reduction for the FlashArray. But it turns out that VDI is really one of the most reducible workloads out there. And so depending on your configuration, whether it's link clones or persistent desktops, we'll see anywhere from a 5-to-1 type data reduction for link clone environments on up to potentially a 10 or 20 plus data reduction for full clone type environments. So one of the advantages there is that really it enables customers who use the FlashArray for VDI to take advantage of both desktop image types. You can move interchangeably between link clones and persistent desktops, and at the end they'll have very similar space consumption on the array. The other thing I'd just point out as we begin is that some of the higher end range there that we talked about, the 20-to-1, is really an idealized case where you have a brand new environment. And so what we try to tell people is as the environment gets used and as users start to persist their data and make changes, then really architecting around that kind of 5 or 10-to-1 data reduction is a good best practice. So to start off, Ravi here is going to give an overview of some of the testing he's done here over the past few months. We've been testing VDI environments here in our lab, scaling up to many thousands of users, and we have some pretty good feel at this point for how different workloads reduce on the FlashArray. So Ravi, why don't you show us some of what you got?
Sure, thanks Matt. What I got here is a VDI cluster with 8 nodes here, and I've turned on DRS and HA there. As you can see here, I have host 1 to host 9, totally 8 hosts. And there I've created link clone desktop pools, which has 1,000 link clones, and the persistent desktop pool with other 1,000 odd desktops as well. So if I really look at the space consumption on this, let's go to the data store tab here. I provisioned a 40 terabyte volume for the persistent desktops. So these desktops are 30 gigs each with base, which is a base image, and another gig for the user data. So what you see here is I provisioned around 1,000 desktops here, so you're having 32 terabytes used. And also for the link clone desktops, I have 4 terabyte volumes of 10 each. I could have created one large data store or multiple smaller data store just to kind of demonstrate that we don't really care about what's the size of the desktop volume. I went with both approaches here. And as you see here, I've over provisioned almost 2.5 times. And each of them are consuming half the size. Like your capacity is 4 terabytes, provision 10 terabytes, and I'm using pretty much half of it. So on and so forth till the last volume here. So pretty much around 80 terabytes provision and less than half consume as per VMware ESX.
So Ravi, let me make sure I've got that. So we've got over 3,000 desktops running here, combination of link clones and persistent desktops. Across all of them, about 80 terabytes provisioned from the FlashArray up. And then, of course, within view, many of the desktops are thin provisioned. So only about 40 terabytes of actual data consumed and written down to the FlashArray.
That's correct, Matt. That's absolutely right. Let me kind of show you what it looks from our Pure GUI perspective here. I have the same concept of a Pure Storage, host groups here. I put all the hosts here, and I provision those 10 volumes. And if I click on the volumes tab here and show you the data I'm storing, we have provisioned up to 80 terabytes of storage, and that's giving you a data reduction of 22-to-1. When I click on the bot itself, I'm showing you there is around 400 gigabytes of RAID and 120 gigs of shared data and 1.28 terabytes of volume data. Totally around 1.8 terabytes of used data.
Awesome. So wow, 40 terabytes reduced to under 2 terabytes, including all the RAID and protection and overhead. Pretty amazing stuff. Let's now segue a little bit and talk about the reference architectures that we've created. So Ravi has done extensive testing in our lab on the FlashArray and VDI environments. And obviously there's a number of different configs and tunables that go into this, but one of the unique things about our product line is that you can literally start with a very small deployment and scale up as your deployment grows. And so the array that you see on the left here is our smallest configuration. It's a single controller non-HA array with a half shelf of storage, which has a raw capacity of about 2.75 terabytes. Now, depending on the data reduction, which might be between 5 and 10x, that'll store anywhere between 10 and 20 terabytes of VDI data. Although you're seeing fantastic data reduction in the demos Ravi's doing of over 20 to 1, that really represents kind of a pristine state because they're brand new desktops. And of course, as users use them, they're going to start to add their personalization, start to add new applications, and if you're storing user data alongside with this as well, they'll obviously be storing their user data. And so we like to guide customers towards that 5 to 10x range as a reasonable end game for where they'll be after the VDI environment actually starts being used. So that pilot configuration is capable of anywhere between hundreds up to 1,000 users, but it's non-HA, and it has a very kind of attractive entry price point where that can be purchased for on the order of about $75,000 street price. Then as you go to go live with your deployment, if you want to make that fully highly available, you can do an online step to just add a second controller, which doesn't require any downtime. And then as your deployment progresses, you can just add more SSDs to that half-empty shelf, and then add another shelf as the array evolves. The array you see on the right is capable of hosting literally 5,000 plus desktops. It's 11 terabytes raw, which means after the deduplication, it'll store anywhere between 50 to 100 terabytes of VDI data. And at that kind of configuration, that dollars per seat cost of well under $100 per desktop is easily achievable. And you can see one of the real advantages here with the Pure Storage architectures is you can start small and just seamlessly grow without any downtime whatsoever. So let's talk a little bit about one of our customers, a college, a technical institute called STI, where they decided to go to VDI to really enable the BYOD model, the bring your own device model. They had previously been owning over 2,000 college-owned laptops that they gave out to their students on a semester-by-semester basis. And you can imagine the IT administrative burden on maintaining those desktops as well as reshuffling and resetting them every 6 months. They moved to a completely virtualized VMware View 5.1 environment on a FlashArray, delivered a great end-user experience, and transitioned their customers, who in this case were the students, to using their own devices with a centralized corporate image, and had a great result in terms of the end-user experience, and the FlashArray has plenty of room for them to grow their deployment even further. All right, well, hopefully that gave you a good sense for the overall set of reference architectures and configurations that are available to run VDI on your Pure Storage FlashArray, and also how the flexibility of being able to use link clones or persistent desktops gives you a lot of freedom as an administrator, taking advantage of the data reduction on the FlashArray itself. If you'd like to get more information, including the detailed reference configuration for VMware View, you can get all that information at purestorage.com/VDI. And hopefully you'll join us for video number 3, which gets into a little bit of the end-user experience and how the all-flash array delivers the best possible end-user VDI application experience. Thank you very much.